People do not light a lamp and put it under the bushel basket. Rather, they put it on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. A few years ago, I had the great honor of returning to my childhood church, St. Aidan's Episcopal Church in Malibu, California. In some ways, a very different context, and in some ways, the church that reminds me most of this beautiful community of hope and faith that we call St. Thomas here. And I had a chance to speak to the senior warden of the church before I gave my sermon there and led communion. And he said something very interesting. He had been an executive with Warner Brothers, and so he had spoken of his time talking with Jack Nicholson and several other actors back in the day. And he said to me, "You know, you're a lot like an actor. You have your little prop that you work with up at the front in his mind, and you get up in front of a crowd of people, you have a script that you follow, and you have a message that you're trying to share with your words, with your hand gestures, and so in many different ways, you're a lot like the people I used to deal with in my business." And, you know, there is more to it than that, of course, but it is true that there is a performative aspect to the work that I do. In some senses, it is true to say, I am an actor. But, as William Shakespeare put it so wisely, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. I am not the only actor here. I am not the only one with a script to follow. I'm not the only one who has been given a special role. In fact, each and every one of us has been given a script by God as well. And we are given, as Jesus says, a lampstand on which we pour forth our light on the world. So, all of us, as you know, have different roles. Paul talks about this in his letter, that some of us are prophets, some of us are teachers, some of us are good at speaking into the power of God, some of us are preachers. All of us, in some way, are fulfilling something different as we seek to do the will of God and serve Him in our church. But all of us, too, surprisingly, have the same role. Jesus speaks to the great crowd of people as He sits on top of the mountain. And He says to all of them, "You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world." All of you together have this same role to play. My brothers and sisters, what is a stage without actors? What is a meal without salt? What is a house without light? Jesus makes the point that there is something special about the role that God has given us. This world was not created just to be beautiful all on its own. The world is beautiful, and indeed, when we go out and explore and we see the beauty of God's creation untouched by humanity in certain places, we appreciate all that God has done. And yet, it is just not the same without human beings. It's just not the same without the salt and the light of the world. You cannot take a bite of this world and it not be flavored by human beings. We cannot look around at this world and not see the light that human beings do give. What is Jesus' point here? He is telling all of us that we have, in fact, been created by God from the very beginning to be this salt, to be this light. We are a part of this world, an integral part of this world. And God sees that in all of us, we are called to something very special. What does God want to see in all of us? He wants to see us live into this role. For we have the choice because of stage fright, because of frustration with the world, because of our desire to be apart from the people who have hurt us, to turn away from this world. This is what Jesus talks about. People do not light a lamp and put it under the bushel basket. And yet, that is something that we in ourselves find ourselves very much tempted to do. Other people may be salt and light, but sometimes the way they use it, they rub salt into our wounds. Sometimes they shine a blinding light in order to distract us or confuse us or hurt us in some way. These things can be misused. And the church and all of us are tempted to stay away from other people, for that is the safer thing. A light that is under the bushel basket is one that cannot be doused. It is one that cannot be harmed by the people around it. And salt that can be corrupted if it loses its taste, it is one that doesn't have to be used, doesn't have to be mixed in with all of the other things that the world entails. It is tempting then to look at this world, to see the people in our lives who have hurt us, who have frustrated us, to see the state of this world and how broken it is, and to say, I want no part of it. Let me go and put myself under this safe bushel basket. And yet, God sees us. God looks at all of us. He knows more than anyone what this world is capable of. Jesus Christ was the saltiest of all. He was the brightest light shining forth in this dark world. And yet he died, as we will remember very soon, on a cross. The world saw salt and light and rejected it. And yet he says, this is your call. This is your role. You all are to go forth into the world and show what it really is. God grants to all of us a way in which we can salt and light the world in different ways. We can show the world what it is supposed to be. This is a world in which Jesus has told us last week that the poor in spirit are blessed, the meek are blessed, those who mourn are blessed, the merciful, the pure in heart, the peacemakers, and those who are persecuted for the sake of God. This is a world that has forgotten that. A world that does not know God. A world that believes itself to be bland. a world that believes itself to be dark. And yet, as one of my college roommates once told me, when you break us down as human beings, we are matter plus light. As a physical, in a very literal sense, there is light within each of us, and it will shine forth from all of us, physically and spiritually. This lampstand on which we stand is called the world. It is one that is not comfortable. I learned a long time ago that it can be nerve-wracking to stand in front of a crowd of people. Believe it or not, I remember the days, one day I fainted in class because I was afraid of the crowd of 15, 20 kids in front of me. Another day in college, I remember my hand shaking as I was reading the scripts in front of a crowd of people. And yet, God gives us grace to go before the people, to face them again and again, even with the risk of pain, even with the fear of rejection, even with the persecution that some of us may face. Jesus tells us, be like salt, be like light. In other words, be poor in spirit, be meek, mourn when it is time to mourn, hunger and thirst for righteousness. A salty world, a world that is edible, in other words, a world that we can stomach, is a world filled with the righteousness of God. A world that we can see, a house in which we will not fumble and stumble, but instead be able to walk around and see the beauty. That is a world filled with the light of God, who has created all things, visible and invisible, and in the end will shine a light on all of it in which we may see. Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Jesus Christ, before he died on the cross, he in fact wished to be under the bushel basket. He said to his Father, if there be any other way, let this cup be taken from me. To shine, in his case, meant to die on the cross. It is on this cross that we see most clearly the light that has been prepared in each of us. We too may say, Lord, take this cup away from me. Don't make me play this role of salt and light. Let me live my own life. Let me have a different role. Give me a different script than going out and proclaiming our good Father in heaven. Anything else but that. We as Episcopalians tend to be quite shy in being lights. We tend to be people who keep to ourselves, people who are polite, people who are very used to live and let live. And yet, in that too, the world has need of us, for the world has need of knowing God. We must play this role that Jesus has given us. We must shine light. We must take our place on the uncomfortable lampstand so that the house may be lit. We must prepare to be mixed in with a world that is unpalatable, because the world needs to be palatable to God. We must